Welcome back. You're watching the ET Money Show. You know, I have a friend of mine who is a photographer, and she works for a lot of Bollywood movies in that she gets jobs on not a regular basis, but whenever there's a film, she gets a bit of a contract and she makes a little bit of money. She doesn't have a monthly income, and she often says that she finds it difficult to plan her finances. And I got to thinking, maybe this is a conversation that we can have on this show so that we can plan financial 101s that help people like her. So if you're a freelancer, then listen very closely. My guest today is Suresh Sadagopan, the Managing Director and Principal Officer at Ladder 7 Wealth Planners. Thank you so much, Suresh, for taking the time. Why is it so hard for individuals like my friend to manage their money when they don't earn a regular income?
It is a bit of a challenge if you're not getting a monthly paycheck. Yeah. And the number of people who are now going on these kind of freelancing kind of assignments or gigs, as they call it, is increasing in India and worldwide. Okay. It gives a certain amount of flexibility to oneself in terms of planning one's time and what one wants to do in life. At the same time, there is a bit of uncertainty in terms of the regular inflows. So one has to be, very, very serious about this whole thing about planning their future in terms of their goals and the wealth creation for those goals. And at the same time, they will also have to build a corpus from where they can get a proper monthly income. So this is very, very important. I do understand that these people who are going to get income in a lumpy fashion from time to time on assignment basis, if they are going to get. So these kind of people obviously will not be able to invest on a monthly basis. That's obvious. But this is where the discipline and seriousness has to kick in, where whenever they are getting a decent sum of money, they will have to put aside that for contingencies. They will have to put aside that for wealth creation, and they will have to probably top up that corpus which is needed for the regular income. So I think a bit more of discipline is needed in these kind of cases as compared to other cases, because there is also no fallback mechanism. In the case of typical people who are salaried, they also have employee provident fund, and they have gratuity, and they have medical insurance, and so on. So those kind of benefits are not there for a person like this. Who is on a freelance, working on a freelance basis. So a lot of things, they have to be very, very careful, very, very diligent about planning their future.
Let's take all of these steps one by one, because you've mentioned, I think, the whole gamut of everything that people that are earning in this way need to take care of. Let's start with the most basic thing, which is how do you manage your cash flows appropriately? If you don't know when your next contract is going to be, how do you manage your cash flows?
See, normally as financial advisors, we ask people to keep something like 3 months of expenses, typically by the side, so that at any point in time, if there is a disruption in the income flow, they will be able to manage that. So one is the disruption in the income flow. The second most important thing is also that there is a spike in the expenses. It can happen to anybody. So normally in the case of salaried persons, we do that. Okay. So up to 3 months. For people who are working on an assignment basis, I would say something like 6 months to 1 year kind of an amount should be always available with them. In case they don't get assignments, so that kind of amount should be available. So the amount of liquidity that I want to keep will be slightly higher, maybe 6 months. Okay. So assuming that they have set up an income, they have already invested in fixed deposits, or they have invested in mutual funds, and they're drawing the money through systematic withdrawal, or they have some bonds, they have some other modes of investment. So then that is also going to ease the pressure on them if they've set that up. As far as investments are concerned, as and when the money comes, they will, like I told you, those 3 buckets they will have to fill up properly, because otherwise in future there can be a problem. There is also one very peculiar problem as far as these people are concerned. They don't know when they will get the next assignment. Sometimes these kind of people who are working on an assignment basis, they may be very, very busy for say 6-7 months, and after that they may not have an assignment for the next 2-3 months. So these kind of things also happen. So one has to plan very, very carefully. monthly income, setting up a monthly income for these kind of people is a very good idea. Monthly income can be set up through fixed deposit. It can be set up through mutual fund, SWP, maybe small saving schemes, post office MIS. I mean, there are multiple schemes through which you can set up a kind of a monthly income, including corporate deposits, bank deposits, and all that. So, what will be ideal for a person? I mean, that we'll have to see. They are based on the expenses that they have, the tax slab that they happen to be in. So, accordingly, we will be suggesting where they could potentially invest. Have I answered the question, Alex?
Yes. So ideally, what I'm understanding from this is you invest in a product, you keep expenses to the extent of 6 months if possible, and this is not necessarily very easy to do, but ideally prioritize this, and then you also invest in a product that gives you a regular income, a monthly income, so that you can take care of your monthly expenses. But when it comes to investing, Suresh, how does one go about doing this? Because SIPs are not really something that such people can do very easily. Or do you say that over a period of time you build a certain amount so that you have 6 months or 4 months or 3 months worth of SIPs that can be taken care of?
No. See, let us understand the concept of SIP. As far as SIP is concerned, it is a wonderful concept for people who are getting a monthly income. In fact, we are suggesting SIPs only because there is a clear-cut income flow at the end of every month. So that is why there is a surplus, and we are suggesting SIP. And for people like these who really have slightly irregular income flows, maybe once in 2 months, 3 months, that kind of income flows, what can be done is what we call STPs, systematic transfer. So suppose this lady is getting, let us say, 4 lakh rupees at maybe this month. Okay, suppose she has got that money, so she can invest in for example, a liquid fund or an overnight fund, and then over a period of time she can transfer it to maybe a equity fund if that is her objective. If the objective is to invest in a debt-oriented product, it may be mutual fund, it may be any other product, then you can directly invest in a lump sum manner. So systematic transfer plan is available, and you can do the transfers over a, say, 8-week, 10-week, 26-week kind of a period, depending on what you are comfortable with. If you are if you want to invest in equity-oriented products, so it's the same as SIP, only that these kind of people will get a lump sum payment, and for them, systematic transfer plan after investing in a appropriate debt fund will be an ideal way. It's virtually the same as SIP.
Absolutely. And would it be right to say, and I'm just suggesting this, that if at all there is an emergency, you can dip into that debt fund that you invest in, the liquid fund, you can possibly treat that as an addition to your contingency fund?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, see, ultimately, these are all, you can say, buckets which we are defining, right? So if there is a contingency and the contingency is more than what we had anticipated, and you have something in the liquidity bucket, of course, I mean, it's your money, you can definitely dip into that. But my broader point is that, I mean, these buckets should be robust. So, of course, nobody knows what the contingency is going to be. So you can never say this is going to be enough. Okay. So that is always there. But I mean, if somebody is going to say, I'll have a contingency of, say, 1 lakh or 1.5 lakhs, I mean, that is really shooting, I mean, at the bottom. Okay. So we really have to have a good contingency based on the requirement of the people. It can be 5 lakhs, it can be 25 lakhs, it can be 1 crore. I don't know what it could be, but it should be a reasonably good amount to take care of medical contingencies, to take care of situations where you are not anticipated in terms of expenses, taking care of periods where you don't get an assignment, the person concerned does not get an assignment for a long period of time. So all these things can happen. Or take a situation where a person has completed the project and it is taking much more time than normal for them to realize the money. So there can be any number of situations where these kind of people may require a contingency fund to fall upon. Okay, so it's good to have a good contingency fund, good liquidity fund. Of course, they can dip into each of these funds as and when they want, if they are running short in one bucket.
You mentioned medical insurance, and I do want to ask about the various types of insurance that you absolutely must get. You also mentioned that salaried individuals have the benefit of a corporate, a group policy, which they can fall back on. A lot of freelancers don't have that option. Is it absolutely essential for such people to get medical insurance?
Yeah, if you ask me, I would say medical insurance is the number one insurance that anybody should consider today, considering the fact that even people at relatively younger ages have to visit hospitals, get hospitalized today. So medical insurance is absolutely a must, because if you don't have a medical insurance and if you have to spend a few lakhs in the hospital, it can completely, lay you low. So the point is, I mean, without medical insurance, you are really playing with your future. So medical insurance is absolutely essential. For whom? For everybody in the family. Because ultimately, whether the child gets or the spouse gets or oneself is going to get, ultimately the money has to be spent. So it has to be a proper medical insurance for everybody in the family. If it is possible, it is also desirable to have a medical insurance for the parents on both sides if they require it. But practically, what we also see is that many of the parents, being senior citizens, they may not be in a position to get medical insurance because of the existing diseases which they may have or existing conditions that they may have. So in a whole lot of cases during the planning exercise, we suggest that probably we may not be able to suggest an insurance. What we can actually suggest is probably keeping aside a certain amount of money as a contingency should such a situation ever come for the parents medically. So it is absolutely essential to have a medical insurance. The next one will be a life insurance. So the person who is earning, that person should have a good life insurance to take care of the expenses of the family in the future. Expenses and the goals of the surviving members in the future, they should have an appropriate amount that can be largely calculated. One should take a sufficient insurance. So a lot of people make this mistake. I'm not talking about freelancers alone. I'm really referring to the general public itself. A lot of people are underinsured. So they think that they have taken some 15-20 lakhs of insurance or maybe even 50 lakhs of insurance. They are well insured. Actually, the amount of insurance that one may need may be much higher than that. Because if suppose a person is 40, 45 and the person passes away and he or she happens to be the main income earner, the rest of the family, suppose the person is married and they have children, the rest of the family will have to meet all the goals, and the spouse will also have to, he or she will also have to take care of the rest of life. So, a small sum like 30 lakhs and 50 lakhs is not going to be sufficient. So life insurance is also, I would say, the next most important insurance. The other insurances, I would say, are good to have, like personal accident is good to have. Critical illness is good to have. A lot of people say it's a must have. I would still say it's a good to have if you have a sufficiently high medical insurance. So you may consider that. And a home contents insurance and a home insurance is also something that one can consider. But the first two, medical and life insurance, are absolutely essential. When I talk about life insurance, I'm really talking about a pure term insurance.
Absolutely, and these are all things that you can build on. Like they say, a lot that has to do with your personal finances is like building blocks. You put one in place and then you put another in place and you build up over a period of time. Suresh, we're completely out of time on this particular segment. It's an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I hope that our conversation has been useful to a lot of people.
Thank you, Alex.
All right, now we are slipping into a short break, but on the other side, we talk about an evening in Roma, or maybe even a ride on a gondola in Venice. Do stay tuned.